ask a question because he spends the first, really the first several pages of the book just telling stories of guys he's worked with and their stories of the sex talk they got.
Mm-hmm.
And it, I think a great sort of smattering of different ways that this is either permission without blessing, like he said,
Right.
morality only, mechanics only, or nothing. Hey, let me know if you need. I think two of the stories, one from a mom, one from a dad, was if you ever
Yeah.
have any questions about it, let me know, and
Right.
nothing else,
Yeah.
and never talk about it again.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you is, what was the sex talk or absence of one that you actually got growing up? And what was the loudest message, spoken or unspoken, that you received about your sexuality?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there were things that were said in youth group or the organization I was raised in, but at home, I recall vividly, and I was probably a freshman in high school at this point. And unfortunately, we have to have these conversations earlier and earlier, just give what young boys are being exposed to and where they're just going to hear it with accessibility to information, certainly online, but just anywhere, just from their peers. But I think I was a freshman, 14 or 15 years old, and I walked into my room, and on my desk, I had never had we had a conversation around sex or puberty, my sexuality, but I saw this book, and it was a picture of, like, I think it was a cartoon picture drawing of a boy basically looking down, and the title of the book was "What's Happening to Me?" Something to that effect. And I looked at it, and I remember I was pissed. I was like, are you effing kidding me? Like, and looking back, tons of compassion for my parents. My dad, he never had it. And so how do you give what you didn't receive? That's a real thing. But to acknowledge what the 14 or 15-year-old Nick felt was like, he's like, are you kidding me? And so, like, I've already been hearing all this stuff. And so I think what that, I mean, that absence, there was certainly that anger was covering what was that anger covering a longing to be fathered, like the heart of it, to be initiated. Because I mean, in middle school, I remember I went from the Catholic school into seventh grade. I went to the public school. In seventh and eighth grade, all of a sudden I'd like have a girlfriend with, like, all of a sudden Megan Zinker and I are a girlfriend and boyfriend. I'm like, what the does this mean? I don't know what I'm doing. And I went to a movie with a group, and I'm like dating one of these girls, and I'm like, I don't know what I do. So I think I should put my arm around her. And I put my arm around her for this 2 hour long movie of Austin Powers that we snuck into. And my arm was like dead halfway through the movie. I'm like, I got to keep it here. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So there was this lostness, both around just like who I am, the stuff happening within me. So ultimately, just zero talk did I have. I never read that book. And the last thing that comes to mind is, well, I had it. Well, ultimately, I literally believed this sophomore year that you only have sex if you're going to have a baby. And so I literally thought, when I was like probably even a sophomore in high school, that my parents, like, especially if you're Christian, you only have sex to have a baby. So my parents had sex 5 times, and that was it. Just because there was, in the absence, nature abhors a vacuum. So you feel these thoughts, and you're like, you feel silly. You're walking through life, and so there was not much. I'd be interested with you, Joe. What did that look like for you? What did the sex talk look like? What did that conversation or lack thereone look like for you? And what were the messages you heard?